All right, so I'm assuming I can hear this. This is the long-awaited Rebel video. I've done a lot of research on this. As you might guess, from the amount of Rebel I've tried to help, just try to get their creative craft through. So let me quickly give you a disclaimer. This is using the 5 tendencies framework just for Rebels. You can find out your tendency, upholder, questioner, apply to Rebel at Gretchen Rubin's website. And this is only using that Rebel mindset, that Rebel tendency, in the narrow lens of writing and how I can get you to do your creative process so that you are able to finish a book, finish a project, finish a short story series, whatever it is that you're trying to finish. And that is the thing I'm trying to get to. So let's talk about habits. All right, so the biggest thing about Rebels is identity. So you can decide that you are the kind of person who writes however many words a day. So I write 2,500 words a day. It is a skill I picked up. I do it daily. It is a thing that you can learn, right? But let me tell you about my identity, right? So I'm an upholder, right? So deep down, who I am is I'm a guy that does the same thing every day in a routine. I love routine. I love to see things on a schedule, right? Rebels hate schedules and routine, right? So I will always be the guy that likes schedules and routines, right? That's me. I wake up. When I was trying to be a better runner, I started running first thing in the morning, or I'd walk first thing in the morning, just to do that thing. But that is who I am, right? And the thing about Rebels is that they can change who they are, right? So you can change your identity. You can say, I'm going to be the kind of person that finishes the novel because I'm going to be the kind of person that writes every day until this is done. Or I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to write the whole thing in one 72-hour bender or whatever it is. I'm going to toss it to somebody else and be like, enjoy this. That is a Rebel way. You are the person that could just define yourself as one thing, and then the next day you can define yourself as something else. And that is who you are at the core. I will always be the guy who wants to cook pancakes for the kids, the morning after they hang out and then play Dungeons and Dragons. That is who I am, right? So if you can internalize that idea that your identity is malleable, and just because you think you are what this thing is right now, you're a people pleaser, or you're somebody who's never finished a project, don't worry about that. You can change your identity. You can be something else, right? You don't need outer accountability. You don't need inner accountability. You know who you are. Be that person, right? Think about the core of your identity, right? And if you want, and this is where I go back into the Rebel psychology, and it's not rebelling against an institution, it's just rebelling against yourself. In their comments, tell me what you feel is the core of your identity. My wife is a rebel. I know that's another section, but that's the end of section 1 right there. Pause that. Nope, we're just going to keep going. Okay. All right, so I'm going to kind of go back and forth between practical exercises and things that someone has said. Okay, so the thing about Rebels is they dislike being on a schedule. I love a schedule. I'm an upholder, right? So I like going to my CrossFit class or my group training class, or knowing that martial arts is this time of day, and having a routine. I'm okay, I'm looking forward to this because I know at noon I'm doing this, or I'm meeting somebody every Thursday, or I used to have a standing lunch date with one of my buddies in college. We'd have lunch every Thursday because she was on the Bush campus and I was on the Cook campus, and we just and we were both on the same thing. I'm okay, so I like a schedule. You could kind of if you saw me like at work, you'd be like, I can set my watch to that guy, because every time, like, okay, this is my time to go to the gym, this is my time to come back. You could literally just be like, okay, it's his time, like he's back. Okay. So let's say I'm giving you the scenario, right? And this is, so I was a fitness coach before. You have a jar of slips of things you want to do, right? You write all the slips in advance, and the slips could say something like, look at my notes. So like, let's say it was a fitness example. Like you could have bowling on it, or you could have like bar class, or booty pump class, or rowing class, or whatever class. Like all the classes around you that are at the same time, right? So like you have a list in this jar of all the fitness classes at a certain time. So you're not picking, and like, or like maybe it's around the same time. Like maybe it's like just like 5 to 8 in the afternoon. Each one of those slips is something that you could choose to pick. If you put your hand into the jar, and you take it out and you pick it, you haven't already decided on that outcome, right? So like you're like, okay, I'm not tying myself to a certain outcome, right? I'm not saying that I'm absolutely gonna do this thing at this time, but here's what's available between these hours, and I want to go work out, and I want to do some random class. Maybe your gym has a random class. So you put your hand in the jar, you pull out Pilates, and you say, I'll do Pilates. Why the heck not, right? So it's the act of committing to something ahead of time that kind of really ruffles a rebel's feathers, right? So when I try to coach rebels, I'm like, I'm not trying to have you commit to me to do something, right? It's more like I'm trying to figure out, like, if you had a jar full of writing activities and they were all like equally valuable, right? And you picked one out and you wanted to do it, like writing exercises, could you do it? And even if you pick it out and you're like, I don't want to do this, pick another one from the jar, right? So that's your thing. Like, this is your practical exercise. Get the jar, write a bunch of slips of writing exercises you want to do. When you find one, write it down. Physically write it down. Put it in the jar. When you're like, I need to work on my writing, you're not committed to doing a particular one, you pick it up, you say, okay, I feel like doing this right now. Or if you don't want to, put it away or save it for later. Maybe you want to do it again. So that's part 2, paper slips. All right, so part 3. I was going to change my patch every part. Let's see if I can do that. Beautiful thing about this hat. It could always be worse. All right, let's talk about convenience. So, this is a keyboard. This is my phone that has Obsidian, and there's my kids. I'm gonna put my kids up there. This is my phone that has Obsidian and SyncThing. This is my setup over here, right? It's got my notes. It's got SyncThing. I'm actually running off a Steam Deck. You might know that if you've seen me talk before, but I want to make it as convenient as possible to write. The more barriers you put in your way, the harder it is going to be to write. So if you're trying to form a habit and you're already like struggling against yourself, just make it as easy as possible. On the flip side, there's convenience. The flip side is inconvenience. If you don't want to do something, you make it inconvenient. The reason I don't want to use Scrivener is because it's inconvenient, because it has to be on a physical computer. I'm never at a physical computer except for late at the night when the kids are asleep. And that's when I'm doing things like this, when I'm talking or I'm writing. And this video has been percolating in my mind for like 2 weeks. All right. Who's gonna get next? Boop. Bananas. Part 4. Other people. Oh man. So, other people suck. You know that? That's my hair. Other people suck. Other people are the worst. So I started my company out of spite, because I was not motivated I'm not really motivated by money. I've got to where I need to be, to where I am, right? It'd be great to have more money, but that's not my motivation. My motivation is spite. And I think that's the rebel thing. I think you're motivated by spite sometimes. And that's the spite of, they didn't think you could do it, but you freaking did it, right? Have you ever thought that? I'll do that, I'll show them. Or maybe like, I won't even tell them, I'm just freaking doing it. Like, if I was a professor and I was managing a rebel, I would just be like, hey, here's what I need you to do. Here's your research thing. I understand you're a rebel. As long as you understand the assignment, go forth and do good things, and then tell me when you need some help. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to check in with you, and I'm not going to bother you, unless it's like to say hi or to give you some new opportunities, right? The way to deal with a rebel from the outside, right, is to let them do their thing, right? And I'll go more into this in the next part. Okay, so we're going to Astra. You get this one. This is number 5. I'm having a bad hair day, but fuck it. I don't care. All right, section 5. If a rebel wanted to add a habit, here's another practical exercise. All right, so this one's from Astra. So she says, depending on the habit, she would pick a specific time slot to do it. For example, at 5 a.m. or directly after coming home, and make a list of reasons why it would be acceptable to not do it. She would trick herself to doing it, a very small amount of it every day. So thank you, Astra, for that. Astra is a rebel. She writes a ergodic type fiction, which means it's like found fiction, and you kind of need to really read into it. The closest thing to hers is House of Leaves. So her thing is, I'm going to make a list of all the reasons why it would be acceptable not to do it. Like, let's say I'm bleeding out my face or something like that. Just make a long list, and then you say, okay, here's my list. And is it on the list? Okay, I won't write. All right, because what we're really doing here is we're building habits. All right. Okay, well, let's talk about this one. This is actually Buddy Ben's patch, but he didn't want it, so I took it in memory of Kirk Delganis. All right, so number 6. All right, so I'm planning on doing, for a lot of reasons, I'm planning on doing a graduate course in professional writing, Masters of Professional Writing, because there's no such course, and I don't want to get an MFA. And I'm going through this master's degree in data science, and I'm just like, okay, kind of stuff I'm doing my job. I'm already doing master's level work. Let's make this easy. I'll just make my own master's degree program, because certifications and all that stuff, right? So I'm thinking about making this course. It's probably gonna be about 20 weeks. And I was like, all right, I'm designing it. So I'm like, obligers, questioners, upholders, here's the 20-week course, the standard course, you do it this way. And then I'm like, so what do I do for rebels? They may feel constrained by that. Like, I'm not trying to constrain a rebel, but let's say I do my master's professional writing course, and I just say like, okay, all I need to see is this goes back so I've written a book about, it's called Gamer Manager. It's about a business school professor, and her thing is about, so like me speaking to her is like, I want the student to be able to do the practical skills, right? So like nursing, you have all these practical skills and clinical skills you learn. I want you as an author to have practical skills, right? So like we have the 20-week course, but then for rebels, I have, you know this shit? Great, here's a capstone project. We're going to look at what you're doing. If we find it good, then we will just issue you a diploma, right? Because why am I going to mess with that? Like, if that's what you want. And that's the thing, is like, I invite you to in the comments telling me to work on Weaver University fast, because right now I'm at the regulatory stage. But like the way that I'm structuring it is to appeal to a rebel, right? So I will do you do the capstone, which is probably going to be a practical exercise in publishing and getting a following. And if you have the competency, I will just be like, why would I not award you the degree? You clearly know what you're doing. Come and give me some information so I can better teach my students, right? But that's a me thing. So I would just be like, here's a textbook. When you're ready, we will test you. Here's what you'll be tested on, practical skills, and then questions, let me know. And that's how it's set up for a rebel, right? So, and then like everybody else could take that, but like I'm thinking about how we teach this person. And again, rebels are like 4% of the population, right? But they're such a very loud and like misunderstood group, right? They're like really struggle with getting things done. And this is kind of like me trying to help you get things done. So like convenience culture tells me that I have to sacrifice things to do everything, or that I should make things as easy as possible so that I have to do more things. But for rebels, they're only going to do the things that make sense to them to do. So if it makes sense to you, you will do it. This is part of the analysis paralysis. All right. Okay. I don't know what section's next, but number 7. Okay, so in her book, Gretchen Rubin, this is part 7. In her book, Gretchen Rubin talks about pairings between rebels and other partners in romantic relationships. So the predominant thing is rebels will pair with an obliger, right? But I've met a couple of power couples that are between a rebel and an upholder. I am in a power couple, if you could say that, right? So my wife is a rebel. I'm an obliger. One of my buddies, he was a rebel writer. His wife was an obliger. And I just recently met someone who was also a rebel, Tonic, that's you, who their husband is Tonic is an obliger, upholder, and their husband is a rebel. And I'm just like, we are the same person, except gender swapped or palette swapped. So so someday my wife might watch this, and I love her very much. I love you very much. But the way that I phrase things as to not feel like they are too much of a burden, or like, I don't want this to feel like an obligation. Like, could you do this for me? Can you do this for me? So this is more like I'm asking for you to do something. I'm not telling you to do something, right? So there's like a difference between me as a manager or coach, or your boss. Your boss is asking you to do something versus me telling you to do something. And that's the same thing when I go back to, are you telling a rebel to do something and then they will become rebellious, or they'll just immediately reject it? Or are you asking them and inviting them in and saying, do this in your own way, right? And that's the thing. If you can figure out a way to do a creative project in your own way, you will appreciate it. Like, I'm pretty sure Divine is a rebel based off of what they're doing, the way they post. Divine doesn't want any feedback. They just post, and they're just doing great. Kate is just like, I will take that feedback, but I don't care. And I love Kate. You're the best. And then there's another anecdote that Gretchen Rubin used, where if, like, imagine two rebels dating each other. She had an anecdote where 2 rebels were married, and each one had their own house because they wanted their own house set up their own way. And I'm like, if that is the thing that takes you, like, if my wife needs her own bedroom just for her own stuff or her own space, right? If you're a rebel and you do not have your own space set up exactly the way you want, then you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. So work to set up your spot the way that you want it to be set up, right? So like extrapolate that a little bit further. Let's say that you wanted to write your own book. You didn't want to send anyone advance copies, or you don't want to set up any of this stuff. You can do that, right? You can write it for yourself. You can make one copy, make it $1,000, put it on Amazon. Make it reflect your identity as a person, right? And that's kind of why I was like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video. I'm probably going to make a blog post about this video because I have a 2,700 word script based off of this I've been working on for 2 weeks that I'm kind of like, it's long. And then I was like, all right, so Rebels, you can choose. I was going to make a book. I was going to make a blog post. I was going to have a YouTube video. This probably wouldn't work so well as a YouTube snippet, right? But like I'm thinking about like, how would a rebel appreciate this? I don't know. So I'm going to make it available in multiple formats. The other guys, suck it. You can get the YouTube video. Okay. And now let's talk about opportunity cost. Man, this is fun. You ever realize someone is just like having fucking fun with what they're doing? That's me right now. I'm having fucking fun. About to go back to work tomorrow. That's like 9 days off. Got stubble. All right. So opportunity cost is the thing when you're driving by Wendy's and you say, that line is too long. I'm not going to go in there. Or you say, oh, no one at the line. Might as well get some. If you're like hungry for dinner. Right. All right. So I understand. I'm going to put this over here. We're on number 8. All right, so I understand it's difficult for you to get things done. So I'm a member of a group called Effective Altruists or Rationalists, 2 different ones. I've written a book about effective altruism. It's called Sect Leader. You can be experienced life in its fullness, right? Or you can be procrastinating. These are both valid options. I'm not going to judge you for playing video games. Hell, I'd be playing a video game now if I wasn't telling about this. But let's say you have 80,000 hours in your career, or only 4,000 weeks, which doesn't seem like that a lot in the average human life, right? At some point in time, if you want to write something or get a creative product out, you're just going to have to do it. Chris Gillibo, he's a rebel. He does a daily podcast with research and all that stuff. He has a team, but he's doing it his own way, right? This is where I recommend the book 4,000 Weeks for Upholders and Rebels. It's very interesting. It's basically like you have 3 things you could work on. That's it. Work on those 3 things. And this Rebel video has been percolating for a while, so I was like, I need to get this over with. This is expecting to be about 2 hours, but we're on item 8 of 12, maybe half an hour, who knows. So align your actions with what you want to do. If you want to write a book, all right, some people, they write a single book and that's like their entire career, and that's fine. That's fine. Like somebody wrote Orbis Tertris, a single book. It's amazing. It's about an anthropologist. I've never seen an anthropologist fantasy book, but like Orbis Tertris, amazing. But like they only wrote 2 books. They wrote that in another book about a legal scholar or a lawyer in the same world. And I'm like, if that's all you got in you, that's fine. But are you settling by writing to market? Maybe. Not really. If you really in your bones want to be a professional writer, right? You're going to have to work on it. Your actions have to align in a way that lets you write the thing you want to write, and then the fans will come. Like you look at my book marketing video, like I kind of let the rebels do their own thing in Immersive Inc. I view that coach and manage, but like I'm not going to mess with them the same way I mess with the obligers and the questioners. Those guys have the same buttons. Every rebel has different buttons. So like, no matter who you are, one book is not going to do it, right? You are not the exception. You are the rule, right? Everyone is the role. If you're looking at this video, you are the role. No, don't think about that. You're not the next Sarah J. Maas. You might be, but you can't make that decision right now, right? So most people never make $1 off their writing. The top 1% of Royal Road make $1 on Patreon. Then there's a big difference between the top 1% and then like the Dell guy who like makes $20,000 a month, right? If you want to be a paid writer, like if you want to be like a paid writer, like I will pay you $1. Congratulations, you are a paid writer. You're an author. Call yourself a paid author, but that's in the field. Is that going to fix it? No. Maybe you want someone to pay for your work, right? Or you want to give it up for free because that's who you are. Like that is your choice, right? Like you get to decide the way that you present your work and how you do it. Like if you're only going to ever take money on Patreon and then you release the book for free after that, okay, that's a choice. Any choice is valid in the other, but like if you don't need the money, crazy. Yeah. So someone asked me why upholders are overpowered, and I told them, nah man, upholders are not overpowered. Rebels are overpowered because they can change who they are. Like I told you before, you can literally set your clock to me. Rebels can be a different person every damn day. All right? Look, I'm just a regular guy who knows what he needs to do to get his own thing accomplished. It just so happens that I have an interest in coaching and training people, right? That was my special interest for a long time. It still is, but like I don't have a coaching and training job right now. Okay, now we're gonna go to number 9. I believe that this unit no longer exists, but also this is not all right. Rebels are overpowered because they can be me today and someone else tomorrow. I thought that effect would be better. I will always be who I am. I will always be that coach. I will always be that guy that trains people in my military occupation, especially. That's who I am. I'm a writer. I want to be a writer. I'll be all those things. That is so powerful. I want rebels to go back and lean into that specific identity. Figure out who you are now. Figure out who you want to be. And then do it intentionally. All right. And so now here's where I tie it back. Here's where I tie it back into. That's what going gas. Here's what going gas. Fuck it. We ball. So here's where I go back to. Use these things that I'm talking about rebels for your writing. Right? So rebels are interesting characters because they do things that no one would expect. And you know what? I love that. Freya from Red Mist is a rebel through and through. How does she show her rebelhood? She has a reverse harem novel. She picks the guy that she saves from the Marquis. She's going to become a druid because she's powerful. Magically, she's powerful. Her country needs her to be a druid. What's she going to do? As soon as she can get out of that 2 or 3 year long internship with the druids, she will. Right? She does not want to be held down. If you have read New Spring, which is the Book on the Wheel of Time series, it is a prequel. It is about Moraine. In it, Moraine, who is a blue Aja, kind of like a wizard equivalent in the world. All she wants to do is be fully trained and then leave as fast as she can from the tower and get on the mission, right? Because she understands that if she stays there, she'll get bogged down. And Moraine is like the most rebel character I can imagine, right? How she expresses her identity is that she gets a mission in New Spring and she follows that out, right? So think about how a character could be a rebel. right? Because their entire identity is about what they're doing. And now another one, Frieren in Susuno Frieren, right? All she wants to do is find esoteric magic scrolls, right? That's her main thing. She's old as fuck, and all she wants to do is like an old lady. She's just like, I'm finding my spells, I'm finding my scrolls. Okay. She's an elf. She does her own thing. She's done it for years, and it's not until the story begins that she actually realizes that there's a finite amount of time that she has on the planet to be with these people. And not only that, the humans that she's with are kind of very finite as well. And I'm not gonna cry about that, but like, it's so freaking beautiful. Okay, I think I have 2 sections left. So love this one. I wear this one all the time. I survived another meeting that could have been an email. There you go. All right, so I just talked to Beat. Beat is a rebel and asked for some comments. So Beat does kind of what I do a little bit, but he releases a batch of chapters at once. He prepares what he calls a batch, a lot of chapters. And once he releases them, once he's got 6 months worth to release, which I love it because it's like you customize the thing you're doing to such an extent that you are preparing the thing for 6 months. And when you're ready, you just release it. And that is how I think Rebel should be. Like when you're ready, just release the thing. This way, when a reader gives him good comments for things to change, which happens less often than you'd like to, he can modify things without making absurd changes. So he's got 6 months. And then he does it. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't like take any feedback until it's out there. Which again, Royal Road is a big, old beta read site. Helps you get some stuff in. All right, this was kind of personal for me. So, my friend quit writing the other week, which he is allowed to do. My friend Zach did. He was a horror editor at River Folk Books. Love the guy. Hope to see him back again soon, in any capacity. But I was always trying to gamify things for him. So this is my last thing. So I want you to try to customize and gamify everything you can. So I had a thing. So in my accountability group, the rule was you get 1 point for every day that you post your daily word count, right? In the spreadsheet. That's all you got to do. You get your word count, you put your own tracking thing, or you put an arc tracking thing. And then at the end of the day, you get a point. 7 points in a week. I'm not keeping score, but like think of it this way, like more points, good. You want to not break the chain. All those kids were upholders and questioners. Or well, questioners or obligers, right? So like they're easy. I understand them. Same guidance, just get them to understand what they're doing, or beat them with a stick. Zach is a rebel. He wanted to gamify things a different way. He's like, I want to do 5 chapters in a week. And then he wants to do 7 chapters in a week, but not 7, like 1 chapter every day, that kind of thing. Or like, he wanted to work it out his own way. So it helps if you play games a little bit, but all I would do is just have him do it his way. Because he was like, I want to do this, but like if there's a game system in this, if there's like a sprint thing, if there's some sort of competition in it, like if that helps you write more, lead into that, all right? Because I don't know what's going to work for you. Maybe you do. But the problem is that you have to like try everything. And Punkatsu, who I just met, is apparently a people pleaser and a rebel, which means that they respond to me in a larger way. And I'm just like, you're a rebel? And it blew my mind because I'm like, I have to do a 2-hour sprint, do 2,000 words. And he's like, yes, I got it. I'm like, what? But like, I'll leave you with this. So it's about choices, consequences, actions, right? So choices, you can choose to write today. You can choose to write at your own pace, at your convenience, whenever you're ready. The consequences of that are that you're going to get a book or whatever fiction. And the action is you'll be able to say, I made this, I make this, right? Conversely, choices, you choose not to write a book. Consequences, you don't have a book to publish or put out or whatever you want to do. Action, you're not gonna be able to do anything with it, right? And I hate to be like punitive, but like them's the breaks. Like if you don't do the thing, you don't get the reward at the end. And in the end, all I'm trying to do is figure out a way to work with your brain so that you actually can write the thing you want to write. So in the comments, just like if I have, I'll probably do a follow-up video of this after the comments, but like in the comments, just like, hey, if I haven't covered a strategy that's worked for you, a habit strategy, like then put it there. Like I could have gone through all the 22 habit strategies, but like the main one is identity over everything, convenience, and then to a smaller extent, gamification and customization. Make it convenient, know who you are, and customize the heck out of it. So you're doing the only thing, and then revel in the notion that you're the only person in the world that is writing their entire novel on Notepad. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.